I know that you did a very good experiment by yourself by getting your lab reports, and you send your samples to some 14, 15 different labs. So what was the result, and why is it important to get your tests, like your blood samples and all, to get it done from a good lab?
So I've been testing myself comprehensively since 2018. So I've been doing like 6-month blood tests for the first couple of years. Now I've got to the stage I'm doing it every month. I want to move to a point where I'm doing it like twice a month. So because I'm getting more aggressive with my interventions and stuff. Primarily because I use my own data to teach other people, and I can show results in that way. So I used ThyroCare for a very long time, and after some point I started researching more and getting deeper into blood tests and like mastering all of the different blood biomarkers and stuff. And I started learning a lot about the nuances. Like there is a time factor, there's a temperature factor, there is just the machine they're using itself and the technology that's used. A lot of these things can affect the results. Even just like there's a whole thing in India where many companies sometimes do sync testing. Like they will just it's a it sound like a technical term, but it just means that they'll take your sample and chuck it down the wash basin and give you a fake result. Yeah. So this happens quite a bit. So
That's bizarre.
my pursuit started to find a reliable lab, because I was like, why am I'm doing all this and I'm spending so much time and energy and effort. I want the results to be like as reliable as possible. And even other than the lab, there are many things you should be following for the result to be accurate. Like
everything is dependent on those results.
Like I'll give you some examples. Like a lot of people look at my कभी किसी को PDF भेजता हूँ मेरा, so they look at the list and they're like, भाई ये तो no one's ever told us that you have to do all of this stuff before a test. I was like, yeah, that's because I'm reading every study and I'm actually telling you how you can get the most accurate results. Like for testosterone, okay, there's a circadian rhythm to testosterone. I've seen this myself. I tested my testosterone. We'll talk about it later, but I tested it like I think 2-3 weeks back at 7:30 in the morning. I changed my blood test timing. So at 7:30 my testosterone came at 400, and I was like, shit, like I'm doing everything right, and I'm like every single thing for testosterone is like optimized. So ये कैसे हुआ? I tested it again 2 days later, again it came at 400. I was like, okay, so the confirmed result. Then I was researching more and I came across there's a circadian rhythm, and that testosterone in the morning peaks at around 10:30. After that I did my testosterone at 10:30, and guess what it was? 700.
What?
Yeah, 300 point increase just by changing the time.
So there's a quick hack, guys. If you want high testosterone, get it tested at 10 in the morning.
But do you understand how nuanced it is for every single marker?
Point is it's like almost double, right?
That's what I'm saying. And when you see the curve, like the studies they've done for the circadian rhythm, it's perfectly predictable. Like if you look at the graph, the 7:30 line or 10:30 wale mein almost double difference. Let's say like it's almost a doubling going from 7:30 to 10:30 in the studies where they look at the circadian rhythm. Similarly for cortisol.
Why is it so?
Some hormones tend to have a circadian rhythm. It's not just exclusive to testosterone, but even cortisol peaks at 8 and then it declines.
Is it related to the cortisol? Because when you wake up because the cortisol levels are going up. So is there an inverse relation between cortisol and testosterone?
Cortisol has an inverse relationship with melatonin, not with testosterone. So melatonin also has a circadian rhythm that primarily explains the cortisol circadian rhythm. For testosterone, we're not sure. We just know that there is this. We don't really fully understand. There's more research to be done in that area. But this is to say that just something like this can influence one of the results. Taking something like biotin is something a lot of people take. High dose biotin, which is very common in when I say high dose, I just mean above 1 milligram, which is a very standard dose. People will use 5 milligrams or 10 milligrams in any hair growth formula or something like that. That can throw off many results. Your thyroid hormones, your antibodies, a lot of results. Even vitamin results can get messed up.
Because you mean high levels of biotin or just having a
biotin supplement? A biotin supplement above 1 milligram will throw off 40% of your lab results.
If I'm on a
it can give you a false cancer diagnosis. It can give you
if I'm on a biotin supplement, and if I'm off it, then I'll get
it takes 3 to 4 days for the levels to get flushed out, and then you can test. But thankfully, iska awareness thoda bada hai, so some labs will mention it, but the research shows you have to be off it for 3-4 days. If you look at Lalpat's recommendation, they just recommend 1 day stay off. So it's incredibly.
But they don't even tell this to people.
That's what I'm saying, na. So it's something like this which can throw off so many test results. It's not even common public awareness when almost everyone's doing health checkups these days.
It's bizarre, man.
That's what I'm saying, bro. This is incredibly complex field where every single thing is like, there's tiny things that can affect. Vitamin C, for example, like if you take certain dose, it can throw off your bilirubin result. ऐसे बहुत चीज़ है, मतलब. So
A lot of factors can affect
all
your.
of this is factored into my rules, like before testing. So it's. I'm just giving like people a landscape for how technical this can get, which is why you want to like ideally work with someone and not just randomly do tests, because even if you see a certain values of, even if that's a legit value, blood test interpretation is not just about looking at a certain number and then coming to a conclusion. Like it can be most markers are affected by 10-15 different things. Skilled practitioners have to rule out different factors and then rule in what applies to you by doing differential diagnosis. Uske baad we can tell you, okay, this is high, it means this. Or if it's even relevant, like sometimes you might just get like the time factor might influence some result. Like let's say the sample has been sitting in the fridge. Even if it's sitting at a fridge in the lab and it's taken like half a day or so to get to the point of processing, which is common, it happens a lot. It can increase the potassium, it can increase the phosphorus.
It can increase.
Yeah, just like if you just put the sample immediately for processing as soon as it's taken, or if you wait for 4 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours, it's a gradual increase that you see, and it's clinically meaningful.
But I mean, that's not really convenient also. Like, it's not practically possible for you to just take out a sample and just give it for testing.
But मैं वही कह रहा हूँ, that's all of the studies we have on these ranges. You know how they happen. They take the samples, they freeze them immediately, and then they process it as soon as possible.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So this is stuff I have learned about just trying to perfect my own markers. कि भाई ये क्यों नहीं ठीक हो रहा? Then I dig in and I find like, okay, fuck, like this is also an interfering factor that I need to consider that way. Like the timing itself. Like if I just went with the 7:30 timing, I'd be like, I'm doing
most
something.
people do.
I thought I'd be doing something wrong. I'll think about 10 different things. What are my vitamin D levels? What are my zinc? ये कैसा है? Like my sleep is not good. Whatever, like the things which can affect it. Yeah, but it's just a matter of like you've been doing it incorrectly.
Oh, you've been cheated. So, bro, for an average Joe, if you want to get your blood work done, what are the takeaways from your experiment, and what are the few things that you'll give so that you can get the most optimum result that you're looking for? How can you optimize it for the most?
So I would say firstly in terms of labs, from the 12 labs I tested, there were 4 that had really, really good results. And when I say really good, I mean I tested 16 different markers from 12 different labs. So you can imagine we're looking at 16 different biomarkers. In 4 labs, all of the 16 have come within 5%.
Oh, right.
So those are the most accurate, because एक भी result कोई fake कर रहा होता है, there'd be something wrong with the machine. 1 or 2 being off is like very easy. Here we're talking about all 16 of them coming within 5%. So those are the most accurate labs I consider. Again, this is a 1-day result. Maybe दूसरे दिन पे करते कुछ lab का अलग scene. So, but in general, like I don't think anyone has even done this kind of experiment, because I followed the media articles on this for a while. So the max I think some news outlet had done is they sent the sample to 3 different labs for only 1 marker, and that's where they found this potassium result being off. So that gave me some clues. Then I started researching more and I figured out कि problem तो काफी biomarkers के लिए है वैसे. So the best ones are Aarti Labs, Orange, there's Manipal True Test, and there's Apollo. These ones had like
we have not been paid from any of these.
Like no commission, nothing. Like this is just like pure trying to help people out to get the best results. And then I'll probably share the document like for viewers if they want to see it. So I've ranked it also. Like these are the top 4. Then there are some which had the results between 10 to 15, and then Redcliffe was the worst. I will say that Redcliffe was the worst. Like guys, I wouldn't recommend using Redcliffe that way, because they were like the results were fully off.
So one point is you get it done from a good lab, and the other point is, like you said, timing is important. So what is ideal timing for that, and
in general, try to get it at a point where it reaches the lab the fastest. So if you're doing it with these 4 labs that I mentioned, then the quality control and the timing and all is very accurate. Like Aarti and Orange specifically, they try to process the result the fastest. So it gets processed within 2-3 hours of like you giving the sample. That's an important thing. Say like timing, you can try to time it like 10:30ish if you're a man for your testosterone results. If you're thinking about cortisol, 8 a.m. is the best. So timing may have found like an association for 2 of these with the results kind of being accurate. Baki ka itna time ka effect nahi hai that way. It's more a matter of how long the sample is taken like to reach the place. So that problem is solved by just like giving it to these labs, so they do it as fast as possible. Because I have experience with other labs, the result will be reported at like 6 o'clock in the evening, 7 o'clock. But in Lokka, like 12 noon 1 o'clock तक
जल्दी आ
काफी
जाएगा,
आ जाता
आ
है
जाएगा,
वैसे.
आ
So you can even check it live, it comes faster. So they're just like basic recommendations in terms of like what to do before. Don't have biotin supplements, don't have like vitamin C supplements for like 3-4 days before the test. Like avoid these two. Baki supplements, like you should stop one day prior and fast like for 10 to 12 hours for certain lipid markers and
Before
stuff
giving your
to be accurate. Like, and then there are a lot of nuances around hormone testing and stuff. बहुत ज़्यादा technical हो जाएगा. This is good for like
for an average person.
basic. If
Yeah.
you're thinking of a comprehensive health checkup for any of these places, like these are good rules to keep in mind.